What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with another video. The horror show at Extreme Rules is just days away, with 6 matches currently listed for the pay-per-view, with at least 2 appearing to be cinematic matches. However, who will emerge victorious, and what will it mean for WWE storylines? Join us now as Wrestlelamia predicts the winners and losers for the 2020 Extreme Rules pay-per-view. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos. Now let's start off with the first match as United States Champion Apollo Crews takes on Montel Vontavious Porter. Now, 46-year-old wrestler MVP might seem like a poor choice for a contender against new United States Champion Apollo Crews, but this match is more about the storyline of MVP's new faction, the Hurt Business, so I still hate that name, and how he's recruiting new wrestlers for it. While some fans expected Bobby Lashley to challenge Crews for the belt, Lashley just competed against Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship, and it would be a step backwards for his career, which has had a resurgence under MVP's leadership. The WWE has done a great job establishing MVP as a veteran grappler whose best days may be behind him, but he's still capable of holding his own and in some cases even winning. However, that won't be the case as Crews will retain. Look for interference by Bobby Lashley and support from one of Crews' friends Cedric Alexander and/or Ricochet, but where things are gonna get interesting is when one of these 3 superstars decides to join up with MVP and Lashley. It's been hinted that Crews is going to turn heel, but it's just as likely Cedric Alexander could as well. If so, the only question is whether MVP's presence can do anything to get Alexander over, as he's been a perpetual mid-carder. But our prediction, Apollo Crews retains the United States Championship, although he's probably gonna turn heel. The next match is an eye for an eye match between Rey Mysterio and Seth Rollins. It's difficult to think of a more extreme match than one in which the goal is to rip your opponent's eye out. Literally. The WWE has really upped the ante here, putting on a match with a stipulation that for all intents and purposes should lead to the loser wearing an eye patch for the rest of their career. Naturally, anyone familiar with the tropes of professional wrestling knows the loser will come back at some point with their eye back to normal, likely with no explanation as to what led to the miraculous recovery. In any event, this match has several possibilities. As we hinted at in our news and rumors video, it doesn't have to end with Mysterio and Rollins losing an eye. It's been rumored that Rey's son Dominic is going to offer himself up, pledging to join Seth Rollins as a disciple if the Monday Night Messiah spares his dad. That's a possibility, especially if the WWE plans on keeping Rey Mysterio around in the company, as Rey has yet to sign a new deal with the WWE. Looking at the big picture and the rumor that Rollins wants to take time off to spend with his fiancée Becky Lynch, we believe Rey will exact his revenge, taking out Rollins' eye and sending him packing, not only giving him time off from the company, but keeping him off television long enough for fans to forget he lost an eye. Hey, if they could end Paul Bearer off during a pay-per-view and then bring him back years later with no on-air explanation, what's one to lie? Our prediction? Seth Rollins loses an eye. The next one is the SmackDown Women's Championship match between champion Bayley and Nikki Cross. Nikki Cross's career has come full circle over the last year on SmackDown. Once upon a time, Cross was battling a babyface Bayley for the SmackDown Women's Championship, seemingly serving as Alexa Bliss's catsport as Little Miss Bliss manipulated her to soften Bayley up. Now, Bliss and Cross are the BFFs, while Bayley is SmackDown's #1 heel in the women's division, and Cross has evolved from an oddity into a highly entertaining performer. Although it's unlikely Bayley is going to lose her women's title before she begins her feud with Sasha Banks, you can count on a strong performance from both women, with Bayley utilizing her grab bag of dirty tricks to steal a win. Cross won't be happy about this, but she can join the ever-growing list of opponents that Bayley has left wondering how they lost what seemed like a certain win. Our prediction? Bayley retains the SmackDown Women's Championship. The next match is the Raw Women's Championship match as champion Asuka takes on Sasha Banks. Thankfully, fans have been spared seeing an Asuka vs Nia Jax rematch from Backlash, and whether the reason is WWE would like to keep Jax from injuring one of their top workers, or they felt Asuka vs Banks is more appealing, which it is, we're happy to see this. Asuka vs Banks is a big deal, and with the WWE seeming to be focused more on its women in order to hype a rumored all-female show, it would be great to see this match get more than 10 minutes of time. The Boss vs the Empress of Tomorrow is a match that could steal the show. Then again, looking at the rest of the card, that shouldn't be too difficult in terms of in-ring quality. This one should feature a strong blend of wrestling as well as brawling, with both women coming close to victory either through pinning combinations or submission holds. Don't be surprised to see Bayley on the other hand lend a helping hand, and if so, expect to see Kairi Sane ready to counter Bayley's interference. This match should be a nail-biter, and while it's no stretch to see Banks defeat Asuka for the belt, interference or no interference, we're predicting a loss for Banks. Not a clean loss exactly, but a loss nonetheless. This will further the storyline of Bayley and Banks' deteriorating friendship by having Banks jealous that she was unable to defeat Asuka, and you can't rule out the possibility of Bayley's interference backfiring, or that Bayley sabotages Banks' win with interference she knows will get Banks disqualified or come up short. Normally we wouldn't credit the WWE with this much savviness in its storylines, but the plotline concerning the golden role models has been exceptional, and we're hoping it will continue at Extreme Rules. But our prediction, Asuka retains the Raw Women's Championship. Next up, the Wyatt Swamp battle between Braun Strowman versus Bray Wyatt. The WWE deserves credit when it comes to both Braun Strowman's Universal Championship reign and its use of the Fiend Bray Wyatt. Rather than rushing things and putting the belt on the Fiend right after Strowman defeated Goldberg at WrestleMania 36, the WWE has been patient with building the feud between Wyatt and his former protege. This has been good for Braun Strowman, as another short title reign would have damaged his career further. If you don't remember, he was Intercontinental Champion. Strowman has been a dominant champion with his win over Bray Wyatt at Money in the Bank, showing he's no pushover, and his handicap match against The Miz and Morrison at Backlash showed he can work against a variety of opponents, even if his work rate isn't his strong suit. As bad as the pandemic has been for business, it's taught the WWE how to slow down its booking, with Wyatt and Strowman taking a slow but interesting journey towards their climactic battle at SummerSlam. With Bray Wyatt adopting his Wyatt family persona and the two men battling in their old homestead, at least that's the impression we got from Wyatt's promos, this should be a violent and exciting cinematic match. One of the biggest questions is whether the match will take place at night or during the day. If it takes place at night, it will naturally draw comparisons to WrestleMania 36's Boneyard match, something the WWE should avoid. A match setting during the day may seem less creepy, but with it taking place in a swamp, that doesn't have to be the case. It goes without saying that the WWE is building up for a match between Strowman and The Fiend at SummerSlam, but how will the WWE use the swamp battle to lead to the final showdown? Look for Strowman to get a hard-fought victory, but to also suffer more psychological damage as Wyatt makes him unleash his dark side in order to fight fire against Wyatt. By the time Strowman faces The Fiend at SummerSlam, he'll be close to reverting back to the evil creature who served under Wyatt during the Wyatt family era. By the time SummerSlam is over, fans might not even recognize Strowman as The Fiend twists his psyche and transforms him into an even more wicked monster among men. Our prediction, Braun Strowman wins the Swamp Battle. And finally, it's time for the main event, as it's an unknown stipulation so far between WWE Champion Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler. Does the WWE have any idea what Dolph Ziggler's stipulation is going to be? While someone from the WWE's digital department posted that it was going to be a TLC match, that image was quickly taken down, leading to some fans thinking it was a decoy and others thinking it was an accident. There are so many possibilities, and Ziggler's statement that he's going to pick a stipulation that's never been seen before in the WWE has fans wondering whether it's just Ziggler playing mind games or the WWE coming up with a match that creates the illusion that Ziggler might defeat Drew. The biggest problem with this match is that Dolph has zero credibility when it comes to defeating McIntyre. Ziggler has yet to inflict any harm on the WWE Champion other than the mind games he's played with him by bringing back his friend Heath Slater. The stipulation should make this match somewhat entertaining, but there's no way Ziggler is walking out as WWE Champion after McIntyre defeated Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley. Our prediction, Drew McIntyre retains the WWE Championship. Incredibly, they only have 6 matches listed so far, and most of them seem to be matches designed to keep storylines going without finishing them, or to give something for major players such as Drew McIntyre to do before SummerSlam arrives. Although most of these matches seem like the WWE is keeping its superstars in a holding pattern, the last 2 pay-per-views have been the same way, yet provided very entertaining matches. As we discussed in our Rumors video, the WWE is likely to add at least 1 or 2 matches to the card, and some rumors are hinting we could see several short matches. Just remember, the bar fight between Sheamus and Jeff Hardy hasn't been confirmed yet. Now, the WWE's last 2 pay-per-views have been entertaining without going on for hours and hours. If they can keep the shows to 3 hours, they'll be doing well, as a less is more approach is best when an event's lineup is largely filler, even if it's pay-per-view quality filler. But there you have it, guys, our predictions for the 2020 Extreme Rules pay-per-view. What are your predictions? Let us know in the comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.